hands that beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all who live their dreams truthfully. With folded hands I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all who will their needs useful. With folded hands I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all who will their needs useful. With folded hands I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp. 제배 하면 누가 군이 보이 되면 집에 도저히 니메르네 답에 되버라 뒤에 좀 보지 봐지요. 남자 삼바디야 저와에 되다 시에 바위 좀 보여 때 배사와서도 봐. 저거니 뭐저 봐지요라는 유도로 봐지요도 많이 더 그냥 되라고 돈에 더 되고 그냥. 자녀들 저 봐지요라서 다지야 들어나서 봐면 자주 맨날 봐도네 저도 봐. 저 봐라고 봐지요라고 왜 이런 이마신지 양다 들어서 이제 왜 신내라도 준다. 요도교라 저와지요라 때문에 전에도 저번에 대법군이 저교도 제대 계산이 오죠. 대란이도 저와지요라 되서 그러는 미도 이제 남다 담대도 봐서만 좀 매겨봐니요. 소단대도 소와지요라 되는 게는 이거는 얘는 지야도 좀 많이 뒤에는 저절매요. 담배 수준으로 와지요라 되다 남산도 배신이다 수준으로 저는 힘내 지나는 봐도 저도 니와지요라. 여고는 야달라마다 되베지에 바로로 서는 도지 장기 공부하뇨도 나예는 와이존은 제대로 그런 제를 이제 만나서 먹고 자주가 도저말로 얘는 라마이다 고조선을 도저하게 얘는 달아지라도 다예는 와이존은 제대로 그런 제를 이제 만나서 먹고 자주가 로이라는 라마이다 고조선을 도저하게 얘는 달아지라도 다예는 와이존은 제대로 그런 제를 이제 만나서 먹고 자주가 로이라는 라마이다 고조선을 도저하게 얘는 달아지라도 우리라는 면을 나와야 예전에도 예전에 저거도 다는 여자지야 다 주의 집에다 그러나 배전 선야로 사예전에도 예전에 저거도 다는 여자 주의 집에다 그러나 배전 선야로 사예전에도 예전에 저거도 다는 여자 주의 집에다 그러나 배전 선야로 산제로라 쇼 도베타 오늘 이제 잡게 지고 나고 선배에서 군내로 나자도 돈이 저소도 좀 받아 제제서 내가 지금 저야 그렇잖아 배워 되는 저도 소화돼 소시되는 로쇼 Okay. So we are teaching about text from Atisha, Lamp to the Path of Enlightenment, lamp to the Path of Enlightenment. And we talked a little bit about lesser capacity, but it was very short, and also middle capacity a little bit, we touched a little bit. And when I reflect back, then I'm not so sure whether I have done properly or not. So therefore, I'm going to repeat a little bit more. I hope you will not bored. And I'm quoting from a spiritual song by Tsongkhapa in the short form Lamrim, okay? Lamrim Nyamgur, in Tibetan we say Lamrim Nyamgur. And I think this is one of the most common sort of text which most of the teachers they called. And this is about the, again I'm going to talk about the preciousness of human life. So here he says, Tevet and the Yishin Nuela Lopte, Denya Batare Samshi, Nyagajula, Namgalodan, Sudisam, Chicken Chawak, Pumba Chawashin, Tokin, Yindegun, Nimbo Lemba, which is the Lamen Yamlet, the Tandu Agent, Tishin Jansero. Means Tevet and the Yishin Norlela, the precious human life, what we have now in our hand, is much, much more precious than any other jewelries, okay? Diamond or coral or amber or what else. There are many, many precious stones, you see. And so the human life is much more precious than any diamond or jewelries, okay? Why? Because if you use those stones, precious stones, it can go to some extent, we can use in a nice way. But then it cannot use to achieve enlightenment. So the precious human life has a potential to, even to achieve the enlightenment, you see. And therefore, Tevet and the Yishin Nodlal Ha. Of course, it has many good quality. Because of this, and then it is much more precious than any ordinary jewelries. But do we also recognize in this way? Do we really recognize practically, okay? Not in a theoretical. If you say, you will answer same, yeah, much more precious, yes. Human life is much more precious than diamond. But then when it comes to reality, then how you see, how you value. And in a reality, okay, in a reality. And so there are so much gap between our talking and then real practice. When we talk a lot, very high teaching. When it comes to us, check one's own self, then we are almost like in the 0 point, okay, almost in the starting point. Therefore, we really have to feel very, very precious this human life. And then, if it is precious, then what? Then, this precious human life, which we achieved in this life, to achieve again is very difficult. Again, we have to check the cause and condition to be able to born in a good human rebirth, having Buddha's teaching, having many profound teachers. And today, okay, we are meeting His Holiness Dalai Lama. Again and again. If we have wish, if we try, we can meet him many times, you see. And we can receive teachings many times. What a precious, you see. There's no other precious than this. And if we really practice according to his teaching, and it's an immense benefit, not only one's own self, for many, many sentient beings, you see. So do we feel that now I have this precious human life, which I have to use in such a way that it will be not wasted. And again, in this life, if I do maintain morality, and I will be able to reborn again in a good human rebirth. And then if we do more, even in this human rebirth, we can achieve nirvana, which is the middle capacity teaching. And then we can also achieve enlightenment. So then again, to say is easy. Then if I check myself where I am. So this is the most important point. Time to time we have to check ourselves. Okay, time to time we have to check ourselves how I'm using this precious human life. Am I wasting? Okay, such a precious. Okay. If we waste small piece of diamond, I think everybody will shout. just small piece of diamond, okay. Compared to our precious human life, it's nothing. It is nothing. But do we really understand and realize in this way? And then do we really use our human life in the best way? And then to achieve these types of precious human life, at least we have to do is we have to maintain a very good quality of morality. Then only, okay. And then check ourselves that do I maintain really high quality of morality, ethical discipline? If we don't have anything of this, and then we are almost wasting our precious human life. And then if this precious human life, if it is permanent, okay, we can do tomorrow, day after tomorrow, or next year, or yeah, we can just go on postponing because the precious human life is permanent. But then it is not permanent. It is just, okay, the life is shortening. Life is shortening every moment. Shortening. Whether we are sleeping or eating or studying or listening or talking, the life is shortening. Okay, we are running towards the end, towards the death. We are running. Every moment we are running towards the death. Every moment. The seventh Dalai Lama, in his teaching, he says, means as soon as we are born, we are moving towards the death. As soon as we are born, okay. Even we are in the mother's womb, still we are moving towards the, you see. And nothing can stop. Nothing can stop. Towards moving. There's no freedom to stay permanently there. Towards the death, okay, running like this, okay. Running. Some people do in the morning jogging, okay. We are jogging towards the death. We say, I'm alive. I'm alive. Actually, we are on the way to death. I'm alive. Yes, I'm not died. Yes, I'm alive. But I'm on the way, on the highway to the end, to our departure, final departure. If we just think all these things, okay, and then, if it is happening like this, okay, if we did something very good things, if we use our precious human life nicely, and we did many, many good things like meditation on bodhicitta, compassion, and doing a lot of good service for every sentient being, and so on, okay, all these good practices, okay, and then even we are moving towards the death, no problem. And then sometimes some people get very old, and inside huge good karma, lot of wisdom, lot of compassion, lot of bodhicitta, and the body becomes very old, and then it's okay. Now I really live this old body. Happily I can live. See? So to achieve this sort of mentality as a mindset, I think now we are not late. We are not late. A little late. So this is very important. So at any time, yes, I'm running towards the death, okay? So what I earned up to now, what did I do? I did a lot, okay? I did a lot. And someone is writing my life, okay? And in Tibetan, and he asked me to just he will ask question and then I can and then he will write because he asked me to write. I said I don't want to write, and then he wanted to write. I said don't write. Okay, there are many books to read, and who will read this garbage? He was very consistent, and after 5 years, and then I said okay, if you see some meaning, then okay, then I recorded it. And then when we write, okay, he asked question, I have to tell, like this, okay? And then in this life, I did a lot. Many garbage things, okay, mostly garbage. But did a lot. But then, if I just pick up some nice things among those lot of things, you see, there's not much I can pick. Oh, this is what I did very good. I have to check, you see. Because he is writing, and I told him that don't write anything extra, you see. Sometimes in Tibet we have every High Lama has an attendant, you see. And then attendants are very faithful to the teacher, okay? And then they say so many things which is not existing. So it should not be like this, you see. It has to be told exactly. Yeah? So therefore, 69 years I spent on this planet. 69 years. A lot. Very long. Then, in 69 years, what did I achieve? Oh, I'm asking you. I will try to check myself, and you also have to try to check. This is the most important thing. When we close our eye, death, we carry all these karmas, all these good thoughts, good practice. Okay, this all come with you. And then if we did something bad, terrible things, this will also come with us. Okay. And at the end, if we do very good things, we will be very happy. Okay, good night. Oh, goodbye. Okay, no problem. If we did many bad things, then it will be very difficult to depart, you see. And then next life will experience all these things. So therefore, those people who did many terrible things, okay? If they are on the way to death, and then almost like life is like almost going to an end, and then he says this is very painful. Okay? So theoretically understanding the precious human life, and intellectually or philosophically understanding that human life is really precious, and from this, by having this precious human life, we can achieve so many wonderful things, related with the practice, related with the mind, and not with the like treasures, jewelries like this, with the treasure inside. Okay. And if we focus on this, and then our life, we can call it a meaningful life. Okay, meaningful life from the perspective of Buddhism, we can say meaningful life. And then if it's just gone wasting, then it's meaningless life. I think so. Mm-hmm. This is more or less like a recapitulation of last talk or teaching. And then, really with you can talk from this perspective. We can also talk about the middle capacity teaching, you see. And how much I am renounced from the worldly pleasures, worldly things, you see. How much I'm renounced.
to achieve, okay, nirvana, for example, like nirvana, which is the main goal by the middle capacity person, the nirvana, the minimum qualification you need is renunciation, and then you have to have a very, very profound understanding of emptiness, wisdom. Together, then only you can be free from samsara, okay, free from samsara and achieve nirvana, which is, once if we achieve, this is forever, okay. It will not relapse, you see. And permanent happiness, and then more we enjoy, and it will not finish, you see. It will not finish. Now the happiness attained from the nirvana is exhausted, not possible. Because there's no source of suffering. Because the source of the suffering is eradicated, totally removed from the mind. And what a wonderful achievement, you see. For one's own self, I think this is very, very good. But for that we need, okay. One of my teacher, Karen Zintemba, okay. Karen Zintemba is an Indian teacher from Kinnaur, okay, Kinnaur. And when I received teaching on three principal aspects of Buddha's teaching, and I think he was 81. He was 81. And related with renunciation, he said, this is, I never heard this from any other teacher. If someone is like about to vomit, you see, about to vomit, and then if we give a bread or something with lot of butter, okay, butter, eat, then what will be the reaction? Oh no. So someone who has renunciation, if we show worldly things, no, I am totally away from this, you see. And that has to be the measurement, okay, measurement. Tsose is a typical Tibetan food. Tsamba, you know. And tsamba, and then we put butter, and then we nail, okay, and cook, okay. And it's a lot of fat, greasy, and that if it's in warm, if they serve to the person who's about to vomit, and then he will vomit more, you see. It's the same. Those people who are renounced, they don't have any value with any of these worldly things. No value, you see. Because there are much more valuable things to do and things to meditate and things to achieve. It is not worth spending so much of the part of the precious human life on these worldly things. It's so stupid. As Shantideva says, there's no worse deceive you can do for yourself to uselessly spending the precious human life. And there's no more ignorance than this, see. I think to get something, yeah. So please try, okay, please try. Now this is a time. This is really a time that every one of us has in our hand is we have a very good life. Now once it goes away, and then I think I quoted Chandikirti's text. Kangze Rawang Chujing Tuneba Kede Dida Zimbar Michina Yangsa Lunga Xiawang Jukiwa Tele Chende Kangi Longwar Kyu means Kangze Rawang Chujing Tuneba means now we have freedom. We are born as a human being. We have many things we can do freely. If I practice compassion, no one will put me in prison, you see. Kangze Rawang Chujing Tuneba, outer factor and inner factor, everything is favorable. Favorable, okay? By having this sort of precious human life and all the favorable condition to practice compassion and bodhicitta, if we lose this, okay? If we lose this or lose the precious human life without using any meaning, taking any meaning, if we lose this, and then hoping, And sometimes when we die, of course we did too, I also did for my mother. After my mother's passed away, then we did a lot of prayers and lighting butter lamp every week and like this, okay? At the time, my sister was lighting quite a lot of butter lamp, almost like every night, more than 100 or 200 like this. And I said, oh, now, I think now we reduce up to 25. And the remaining money, this is my thought, okay? Maybe it's correct, maybe it's wrong. You just check. I said, remaining money I collect, and then I will give food for the people who are sleeping in the street. I think Buddha, if I asked Buddha, so do you like to light all the butter lamp in front of you, or some part of this, if I just take and then give good food to a very, very hungry, cold, no shelter? What you will say, Buddha? I think Buddha will say, do that. I think so, you see. Sometimes, and then my brother and my sister, they were a bit reluctant. What are you saying? What are you saying? You are supposed to be a monk. Now you are saying that instead of offering butter lamp, you wanted to reduce this and then use the money for poor people, to get a food, to drink. And I said, maybe this is wrong, but this is really, I really means it. And if you agree, please cooperate with me. If you don't agree, okay, I will cooperate with you. Of course, finally they agreed, and we gave lunch 2 times, one in Swambhunath, one in Bodhnath, and it cost about 36,000 rupees, you see, because it's a lot, many people. So, even we have some money, or whatever, okay, we have to really use in a nice way. Before we really fall into our realm, lower realms, animals or hungry ghosts or hell, if we fall into this realm, and then I think there's not much anybody can do. Even the most, you see, most respected teacher, valuable teacher, I think there's not much he can do. Even the Buddha, you see, someone born in dog or buffalo, what can we do? Only thing we can do is we can give water, we can give a nice food, and we can give some bed, a nice shelter. That is the maximum we can do. We can't ask, please listen my teaching, precious human life, or emptiness, or compassion. How can we teach, you see? Of course, through physical sort of training, we can train them to be a little bit more gentle, a little bit more soft, less fighting. That can be done. But other than this, it's quite difficult. Therefore, once we have fall into lower realm, and then coming back into higher realm is almost like a very, very difficult. Then all our freedom will be taken by someone else. Luckily now these days, these big animal, bulls or horse are not used so much for the carrying loads, you see. I used to see in 70s, late 70s, I used to see a lot. And then women, they have no freedom. Even they can't say that I'm thirsty, I'm hungry, I need to take some rest. At 10 minutes, please allow me to take rest. No way they can say. Because all the freedom has been taken due to karma, you see. Means who will be able to bring them back to a good rebirth. If we ask buffalo, please maintain morality, ethical discipline, try to earn 10 virtues of action, how can we say? Of course, we can protect. Okay, if we started doing something very terrible thing, we can protect. But Other than this, we can't do anything. Therefore, our precious human life has to be used, okay, before it will fall into lower realm. Really have to work very hard, okay. Therefore, for that, we have to maintain ethical discipline. As I explained, maintain 10 virtuous action, and try to abandon 10 non-virtuous action. Okay? And this will be the main factor. Okay? This will be the main factor to achieve good rebirth. And then this is a lesser capacity teaching. And on top of this, don't waste your precious life. So many unnecessary things, okay? Never ever finished, you see? Never ever. And endless. Mm-hmm. You might have heard the story of a teacher and a student. In short, I will tell, you see, it's quite important, you see. There was a teacher, okay, and then a student. And the teacher all the time, he says, oh, you work very hard, okay, one day, if everything finished, then I will take you for picnic, okay. And it went on and on. And then the students expecting when my teacher will take me for picnic. But they say, oh no, still we are not finished. There are so many things to do. The cleaning and so many things to be finished. So if we finish everything, then I will 100% sure that I will take you for picnic. And it went on and on for many years, you see. And then the student was a little bit tired, okay. At the time then, teacher became sick. He passed away. And his dead body was taken towards the cremation place. And someone asked to his student, oh, what happened to your teacher? Now my teacher has totally finished all the job and now he's going for picnic. So it will be applicable to us also, you see. It's applicable to us. Telling the story of that is okay, but we have to apply to us. So we have to finish, okay, our practice and intensive practice. And if you are doing a little bit practice, just try to do more and more intensive. And then try to accelerate your practice. Yeah. And then through this, okay, detach from the worldly thing, as I explained by Rinzit Tempa, and then you are almost on the way to nirvana, and that means you are practicing middle capacity teaching. Yeah. So in short, to lesser capacity and middle capacity teaching is, in short, okay, I explained. So you have to read. More you read, and more you get better perspective and better picture of whole teaching. What is middle capacity teaching? What is lesser capacity teaching? And then, this is very important, okay? Don't underestimate or don't look down to the lesser capacity teaching. Say that I am Mahayana practitioner. I always talk about compassion and bodhicitta and ultimate compassion like this. Oh, this lesser capacity teaching is far. I have been there for many years ago. Don't say in this way, and don't look down. This is a big sin. Without this lesser capacity as a base foundation, there's no way you can climb or reach to the middle capacity teaching. Without middle capacity teaching, then there's no way you can enter into greater capacity teaching. As I told you, okay? Without renunciation, there's no way you can cultivate compassion, great compassion. I quoted Shantideva's text. Okay? So, in this way, all the teachings, okay, all the teaching, we should not judge, saying this is low teaching, and this is not meant for me, this is not suitable for me, I am Mahayana practice, I am Vajrayana practice, these are so in the kindergarten. Don't say it this way. Where you are really reached, you see. Now we are talking about the bodhicitta. Rangyu tobe dungeji kangshi shinji dungeda yangda saba kune jiwudin chon. Rangyu tobe dungeji by thinking, by understanding that my suffering, will be able to end by using renunciation and wisdom. By having this understanding and also contemplation and also experience, and then if you transfer this to others, and then others can be made free from this cyclic existence, you see. Rangyu tobe dungeji, having deep understanding of one's own problem, suffering, sources of suffering, and then we will understand that others will be able to free from cyclic existence. And all the sufferings is possible because you have experience of renunciation and wisdom. Yeah? And then you can transfer this understanding to others, and then if I'm able to free from suffering, then why not others, you see? They are also sentient beings. Rangyu tobe dungeji kangshi shenji, kangda shenji dungeda, yangda seba kune de means from the bottom of the heart. Oh, this is so important, yeah. So important that to have a really deep understanding and experience of that everybody can be relieved or freed from this cyclic existence. And that is out of compassion, isn't it? Out of compassion. Then this renunciation is changing into great compassion. Yeah. So all the three capacity teachings are supporting each other, supporting each other. And based on our mental capacity, and then teachings are divided in this way. But lesser capacity teaching, if its practice is very profound, it helps a lot to the middle capacity teaching. It becomes very profound and it helps the greater capacity teaching. Without this, there's no way you can jump directly to the bodhicitta. Not possible. Yeah. I will almost like jumping like this, isn't it? I don't know, me, yeah. Renunciation, many people, the renunciation is very difficult. Yeah. When you say compassion, okay, I wanted to practice. And bodhicitta, yes, I wanted to practice. Renunciation, no. I have children and I have a husband and my wife, and so I have so many things. So renunciation is too difficult for me. Then there's no way. And then even they say, I wanted to practice compassion, and indirectly they say, no, I don't want to practice compassion because I don't want to practice renunciation. And then I think you also might have got explanation that how important to taking refuge in three jewels. Okay, and this is all included in the renunciation also, because Jigde Nyi means we have the feeling of so tired and afraid of to be born in this samsara again and again. So I really wanted to be free from this samsara. Okay, that is one factor. And then who can help me? Who can guide me? The three jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So these two components makes us that we are really faithful, and we become a Buddhist. Yeah. And this is the foundation of all the vows, whether it's Bodhisattva's vow, or monk's vow, or nun's vow, or Vajrayana, whatever, this needed. This is the foundation. Okay? Now we go to our favorite subject, bodhicitta. We like to talk, you see. It's very nice. And but then to enter into it and practice, we don't talk much. Just we explain, okay? Today I thought of like talking. Maybe you might have heard this teaching many times, but still I think I have to repeat that there's two ways or two methods to cultivate bodhicitta. Okay? When you enter into the practice of bodhicitta, we entered into the greater capacity teaching. Okay? The one is equalizing and exchanging method. Okay, equalizing and exchanging method. And the second one is seven cause and effect. And these two are the method to cultivate bodhicitta. Okay, whosoever up to now has been bodhisattvas. Okay, they practice through this method. Okay, there's no other way. So if we have to explain about the seven cause and effect, then we definitely need some background of rebirth. Yeah, rebirth. In my veranda, one pigeon lay egg, two egg. Yeah. Since now it's running 3 days, she has been sleeping there almost all the time. I threw some pomegranate seeds. I think she hardly eat, and put a little water in a plate and put it just there. She was a bit afraid, and she drank. I think I didn't see any. She was drinking, taking water from there. She was sleeping. She's still sleeping all the time, hatching her egg. Okay. If you think, why she's so attached to this egg, two egg, why she's so attached to this two egg? She threw many things from her body, but she's not attached. And she knows that these two egg is important. For her, at present, okay, this is one of the best treasure. She's really hatching, okay. Almost like she's spending, I don't know, in the daytime I saw almost whole day. Just I was watching and thinking, why she is so attached to this egg? I think if someone comes to harm, I think she will fight. Even her life is in danger. Still, I think she will fight. And then I went to animal shelter and this clinic, okay, animal clinic. 260 dogs and some cats also. They're doing really great job. Those people who are cleaning and giving food and then injection and so many different types of disease due to accident, broken leg and then I think 2 are under surgery. They were doing surgery. So through these experiences, if we think, is there any rebirth, you see? Especially this pigeon, okay? her feather falls down, but she don't worry. Of course, the feather is also her feather, and the egg is also coming from her, and then all her waste are coming from her body. But then she thinks that this egg is important. How can she know? How can she know? Of course, scientists may have some explanation. So there are, this is one factor, okay? And then sometimes, now we don't go so far. Yeah, we go a little faster. I'm not here to establish rebirth, you see. I'm here to teach greater capacity teaching. But of course, to understand, okay, to accept or understand that all sentient being has been my mother. How? When? Okay. How? When? When? In my previous life. And then, do you remember? No. No. Some, yes, just immediate previous birth, yes. But me, no. I don't remember any of my mother in my previous life. Only thing was that when I was in mother's womb, and one doctor given medicine to dissolve, because he thought that there's some problem in the womb. And my mother was taking medicine, very strong medicine, Tibetan medicine, luckily. And then after a few days, our family spiritual teacher came. As soon as he saw my mother, said, "Oh, you are pregnant. You are pregnant." Okay. And then my mother said, "No, I'm not pregnant, but I have some problem. I'm taking medicine from this doctor." "Oh, no, don't take medicine. You are pregnant and you will deliver a boy." And he told a little bit of my previous life. I don't believe, okay, I don't believe, but he told. And he advised my mother that this boy has to be dressed in yellow and red. I was never dressed in black and white since my birth, you see. Always in blue. Good or bad, I don't know. And even when I was a small boy, when I play, my role was always monk or lama and blessing other children, okay, like this, and say some prayers. That was my role, you see. I was not tired of this. I did it proudly, nicely. And then also he predicted that one day I will become a monk. Then he said something about my life, you see. So now I don't want to tell all these things. But that was just a little bit, okay. And this is also telling a little bit about my life, my rebirth, okay. And it can go beyond like this. And now, today someone asked me, okay, where can I find a text, clear text, which explains about the rebirth, okay? And then I asked him to read the appendix of the book, which is written by Isolin Saranaman, My Land and My People. So in the appendix, there's a small Buddhist part, which explains, okay, that because we have body and mind, but the body, of course, yes, we have to accept that this is coming from our mother and father, okay? There's no, we can make any sort of confusion. But when it comes to the mind, where's this coming from? There are many, many tenets, okay? This is coming from parents and so many theories, but then everything is not valid. So then it has to go back. So my mind, when I was I think it was in late 80s or early 90s, there was a scientist who was teaching biology, and we have been talking quite a lot. And then she was saying that genetic engineer can make terrible, huge human beings construct, okay? And then said, no, please, don't do this, because we have enough terrible people. So if they make a really big human being which picks up 2 or 3 in bundle, you see, a real human being, and then smash it on the wall, we don't need this, you see. And I said, please, if you are able to build a human being, just please build a very compassionate and wise human beings. And she said, what is compassion? And now they don't have any sort of component which they can make compassion, you see. They can't make any wisdom. They use all the physical things used. So there's no component, okay, which can make, they can make a compassion, you see. And that shows that the compassion has to be rooted to another mind. And it has to be rooted to another mind, you see. Outer factor, physical factor matters. There's no way it can produce. Even we eat very healthy food, okay, our mind is not necessarily to be healthy or wise, you see. The people who are eating very healthy food and all clean and everything, but then one can find a very stupid in that sort of person, you see. And people who are using very bad food, very dirty, but you find many, many wise. That shows that outer factors are small factor to exist this body, but the mind, it has to go to another sort of level, you see. So we say, when we are, today's mind is coming from yesterday's mind, and this month's mind coming from previous mind, and like this, okay, it goes back to the baby, and then it goes back to the mother's womb, when we are in the mother's womb, and then it goes back to the previous life. Otherwise, there's no way this baby can have a mind, you see. Because any outer factor, material things, there's no way it can make mind. Otherwise, scientists would have made many Buddhas, you see. Then there a factory where we can make Buddha, high quality Buddha and low quality Buddha and so on, which are still not existing, you see. I think it will not exist. It has to be trained the mind, you see. Then only it's possible. So therefore, through this analysis, okay, physical body and mind, a physical body, it needs food, it needs father and mother, and it needs many other things, you see. But then mind, yes, to develop mind, we have to listen, we have to practice, we have to study. And then where's this mind coming from? Then it goes to mother's womb, and then it goes back to previous life. Otherwise, there's no way we can prove that this mind is coming from this side. No one can prove. Therefore, then it has a previous life. If it has previous life, we cannot say that it's only one. We have been born many, many times. Now I'm going short, okay? Short. How could this needs to be explained really at length, but not much here. It's almost empty. And then if I have been born in this samsara or in other samsara, I've been born many times, and then wherever I born, I have to have a parents, you see. Parents. And then in this way, we say that every sentient being has been my mother. Not only one time, several times, you see, several times. And the milk I took from one human being, or one mother sentient being, can be a lot, you see. Therefore, they took care of me, and they fed me, and they loved me, and they dressed me, and all this, if we just collect all the things what the other sentient being did to me. And then we feel that, okay, mother sentient being has done a lot. First thing is, we have to recognize every sentient being has been my mother, okay, first step. And then second is, during their mothership, they did many, many good things. Loving, caring, and including all. They did many things, okay? Marshewa, Teen Temba, okay? To remember their kind. And the Teen Sowa is to repay back developing a sense of repaying back. I'm almost like their son, so now I have a responsibility because they have done so much for me. Now I have a responsibility to repay back their kindness. Third step, and then the best way to repay back is to remove their suffering, which is connected to compassion, and to give them or to cultivate them or to encourage them to achieve happiness, which is greater unconditional love or love, okay? And these two are the main factor to repay back to the mother sentient being, okay? And then we don't stop there, because if I have this practice, okay, still not enough, because I will not know exactly what I can do, the best for the all sentient being. And for that, I need to achieve all the good qualities, and I have to remove all the bad things from my side and achieve all the good quality. And that is only possible if I achieve Buddhahood. So, Buddhicitta, I wanted to cultivate Buddhicitta. That means I wanted to achieve Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient being. Okay? So, the first step is to recognize mother sentient being. And the second is to remember their kindness. And then third one is how I can repay back. And third one is either compassion or, if compassion third, and then the fourth, then loving kindness will be sixth. Fifth. And then unusual, after that, okay, combined practice of compassion and loving kindness, then we achieve unusual attitude. In Tibetan we say laksam. Okay, that is the sixth. And then if we go on practicing, and then we will achieve our mind or transform our mind into Buddhicitta, that is the seventh. Okay, so six are cause, and the seventh is the effect. Yeah, seventh cause and effect. Yeah. So this is one way of cultivating Buddhicitta. So for that, you need a profound, impossible understanding, if not profound, strong, unshakable belief in rebirth and law of karma. Yeah. This really looks like natural. Any of you, are you practicing this seven cause and effect to cultivate Buddhicitta? Yeah. And then to develop or to grow, okay, slowly, there are many factors, okay? And just thinking that, now all sentient beings are my mother, and that, not like this, okay? This is not what I explained. But then you have to go back again. You have to go back. And it's very difficult, yeah. I have to say, okay, I'm saying, okay, totally unrelated with me, okay? So Guru devotion. You don't have to accept me as Guru, but the Guru devotion. Very important, okay? Very, very important. Yeah. Shela Miku Jewo the Shungja Shijang Tum Yu, Shingam Loja Chupaya, Lodap Jewa Siname. So this is the example and the explanation. Shela Miku means the person who has no faith and respect or devotion towards the spiritual teacher, and this is then still expecting, practice, very high practice, achieving enlightenment, everything is not possible. Here says, Shingam Loje Chupaya, Lodap Jeva Siname means totally dry wood, if we put in the water, then if we put in the earth and fertilizer, lot of water, but it will never grow. It will never grow any sort of green leaves or branches and flowers, you see. It's totally dried, you see. Shingam Loja Chu. This is a little bit too much. Even it's deep 100 times. And then 100 years, it will not give any branches or fruits or flowers or leaves. Okay? So in the same way, if you don't have any devotion and faith in the spiritual teacher, and especially I'm just saying, please be careful. To accept spiritual teacher, you can analyze, you can check, and take time. Just analyze, check nicely, and then accept spiritual teacher. But don't accept easily. But then, once you have taken someone as a spiritual teacher, very, very important when you are really serious practitioner, you see. Therefore, then don't change. In some places I use this term, my practice not going well, and sometimes I use really harsh words. Say, how can your practice will be successful? Because you are changing your spiritual teacher like underwear. What? What? Yeah, it's just running after the name. If you say like Gen Rinzit Tamba, who I quoted today, Gen Rinzit Tamba, he wears a very bad cloth, almost never washed, and his glass is with rope, and this is also a bunch of like old darts, you see, and goes inside totally 100% clean, but physically, I think he never takes any shower. Yeah? And then His Holiness this year in Kalachakra he mentioned again, Rinzit Tempala, after taking butter tea and then all the remaining butter he put here like this. He mentioned it. Nafsha in Tibetan we say nafsha. Na is this, shap is all the it's like this, you see. And then he is hidden. He's hidden, you see. He never ever say that I'm like this, you see. Just always somewhere far away. And suddenly His Holiness, where's Gyan Rinzit? And bring him here. He said, I'm here, it's okay. And when he goes to His Holiness, he has given a lot of teachings to His Holiness. And in the beginning, it was so difficult to accept. He just ran away. And these days, some people say, if His Holiness asks me to give teaching, that will be very happy. And they show the photos everywhere. They carried by the eight-worldly conceptions. And then he goes to His Holiness and gives teaching. As soon as teaching, he run. Now my body and everything is like garbage. So now this will make your palace dirty. Very good teacher, okay? Very good teacher. Totally renounced. Totally renounced. I saw him his last visit in Bodh Gaya, and he asked me to make a catalog to his scriptures, you see. And then he said, now you make a catalog, and now I will be not able to read in this life. So I have to put on a very nice table, wrapped in a very nice cloth, and then I make in text, okay. And I wrote everything, what is inside the wrapping cloth, and put it all together. And then he said, oh, if you want to take some, you can take. And I said, please give me. And he gave me what? He gave me Chunju, Bodhisattva's way of life, and Lamp to the Path Enlightenment by Atisha. So this he gave me. And at the end, I worked 5 days, and then at the end he gave me almost like a salary. And he said, oh, you will not accept any money. And therefore I thought it. Okay, I thought it for the salary. And he gave me gur, you see, no, gur, brown sugar, gur, yeah, like this, and in a very nice leaf, wrapped in a nice leaf, and then together, and then I don't know, white, like prasad, okay, white, sweet. So this is your salary. And then in that summer he came to Dharamsala, and then he passed away. Now, everything done, okay, money, everything is totally, and all his belongings are sold, you see, in auction. 10 rupee, 5 rupee, 10, all that, with the help of monks, sold and emptied, and then handed over to the monastery. All the scriptures are left there, with khata and everything nicely covered. How beautiful. Yeah. So, he was also a human being, and he was also like a baby who cried. And he also said, I don't want to go to school, I don't want to go to the school. And he was also one who said, oh, I don't want to study Buddhist philosophy, it's very difficult now. But slowly, and now he becomes such a great teacher, you see. We can apply, try, okay. We also have to try. Before it is too late, we have to try. I'm appealing, you see, because, yes, I think you heard a lot of teaching, and my teaching is practice all those teachings, okay? I'm appealing, please. There's not much in my teaching, but I'm just telling you that, oh, please practice all the teachings you have received up to now. Every teaching, always like it goes from the beginning to the end. Okay, so we have to go through this and practice. Yeah. Yeah, luckily, of course, we met many great teachers, you see, who are really very authentic, very authentic, great teachers. And some teachers we share, Kishin Tochiramdula's philosophy teacher, Ken Wongjin, Ken Pandit Thakpa, and Ken Losang Chazo, and Ken Thamju. We share, these are our common philosophy teacher. And then I'm older, so I have other teachers, a much older teacher. Very fortunate, you see, very fortunate, but then sometimes I feel like crying. I hope these great monasteries will produce good spiritual teachers for us. Yeah, really very important. They are so substantial, you see. They are so huge. Last year I went to meet 3 of my spiritual teachers. One recently passed away, and 2 are still, one is 98, and one is 86. 86, still teaching, still taking class, 7 classes. And Gyan Wangjala used to take class, I think in a day, like 11 classes, I think so. Yeah, maybe more sometimes. And today, one of our friends, he's not here, so he was asking, how Nalanda University educated all those great teachers like Nagarjuna, all these things. How they educated, okay? In which way? Which system? Which curriculum? Yeah. And it was a big question. And I was telling, of course I was a bit emotional. I was telling that in the big monasteries in Tibet, like Drepung Sarat, Ganden, and many other big monasteries, all these philosophical teachers, they don't get any salary. They have to survive by themselves. Some student, disciple, they offer a little bit, yes, and they don't demand anything. Even if they offer, don't keep for yourself, okay? No salary. And then students, they have the choice to choose their teacher, you see. It's not in the timetable, say, the first Panchaparamita, you have to go this class but taught by this. No timetable. Every student can choose their own philosophical teacher, which is a very big thing, you see, very big thing. I think another university must have been like this. I'm sure. And he was asking about the architecture. I know one great writer said, I think the Chogang temple in Lhasa is almost built exactly same as Nalinda prayer hall. Pillars and beams and everything. Even the size are almost same, you see. So we copied a lot. We took like even the building, okay, we just took from, okay. And the way the great masters in Nalanda University taught and they produced those learned, compassionate teachers, I think we just did it almost like exactly same, kept in such a precious way. Like 5,000, 7,700 was the number in Tibet. Drepung Monastery has 7,700 monks, you see. It's no timetable, you see. Anybody can go to any teacher. I have to decide. Yeah. Because I have to what? I have to practice Guru devotion. If someone imposes, then it's not possible, you see. That teacher can be totally against me. So I have to choose, you see. And teacher also has a right to say that, okay, you can be my student. Or a teacher can say, oh, you can go to this teacher. And he's a very good teacher. Gen Rinzit Tempa also said, oh, why you are coming to me to receive teaching? You have a teacher Gen Yin to do, you receive from him. He's a really good, great learner, very great teacher. I also received him, and I also wanted to have a spiritual connection with you. Okay, and Dig Yong means, then I think this will be okay. Yeah, you come at 9 o'clock, and I have to finish at 12 o'clock, he said, because he take lunch exactly 12 o'clock. So I went 9 o'clock, and he said, don't bring anybody. And I went. Started exactly 9 o'clock, close his eye, he doesn't need any text. Exactly 12 o'clock, including all the instructions, he finished. Oh, he said, oh, now you go to a restaurant, have a thukpa, and then you go to another monastery, Ladakh monastery, in where Buddha did 6 years meditation, and you read this text, a commentary on this. He made all the program, 9, then it took around late evening, 9 o'clock. So profound, you see, so profound, so compassionate. Yeah, real compassionate, you see. So therefore, these great teachers, and then these days, students are also expecting that you are really intelligent, you are practicing a lot, you are, I think, one of the most outstanding students of mine, and that expecting. One of my philosophy teacher, very difficult, very tough. If we do really good, okay, if we show like this, the maximum he will say is, oh, that's all. You should not expect more than this, you see. Just his eyes a little bit like this. He looks. That is so important, you see. But this is very, very valuable, you see. If someone says, oh, you are excellent, it doesn't carry so much meaning. But this is, yes. And he says, good, okay, almost like I never heard. Good, I said, no. Yeah, yes, I often hear, oh, yeah, that is very tough, and very, very authentic teacher. So therefore, you can examine your spiritual teacher, okay, your guru, and guru is it's a Sanskrit term, isn't it? Also Hindi, and guru is like heavy in the sense, the knowledge-wise very heavy, experience-wise very heavy, and the quality, good quality-wise very heavy. So the student cannot play with the teacher, you see. Now these days, students play with the teacher. They do demonstration. They knock down. If the teacher is very substantial, heavy, and even the student going to in front of him, we have to pay a lot of respect. He didn't say anything. He has no stick. But because of his qualities, you see? Yeah. So therefore, choose good spiritual teacher. Of course, I will say the Geshe Dorje Dromkyul is an excellent teacher. Okay, but now this is going everywhere, very bad. Normally, we try not to announce each other. You see, yeah, it's a very good teacher. You see, very, very good teacher. Mm-hmm. Very lucky, yeah. Otherwise, in Delhi, it's quite difficult, isn't it? To find a really good teacher is quite difficult. But there are many teachers who says, I'm very good. Then it is not a good sign, you see. So try to be careful. Yeah, try to be very careful. Okay? And then whether your practice will be successful or not, or fruitful or not, it's depend upon the devotion to the teacher. Okay? I was saying a prayer. Means means all the good quality, the base or the field where all the good quality grows through teacher, spiritual teacher. Therefore, spiritual teacher is more important than your own life. See? Yeah. And then also, this you might have studied about the 10 qualities of the spiritual teacher, okay? So, and then you just, of course, if all the 10 qualities there, of course, perfect. If not, the last two, like, is very important, compassionate. Thing means the teacher who's not easily get tired if the students are not so good or slow learner or bad behavior or like this, teacher not get easily tired because of the compassion. So these two are very important, last two qualities. And then also you also have to be very good disciple. And I think you listen to this ayat, there was 400 verses, isn't it? There he says, means surne, student has to be neutral. Okay, not in a partial thinking or not bias, okay, has to be totally neutral. Londe is use your intelligence. Twenyer means wanted to achieve something good practice, you see. So these four qualities you have to check by yourself. Yeah. So if these both components are together, and then if you practice Bodhicitta through 7 causes effect or equalizing, exchanging, and then I think there will be some green plants coming, okay? And then slowly it will give a very nice flower with a nice fragrance, and then it will give a nice fruit, you see? That is Buddhahood. Okay? Yeah. Otherwise, running after everywhere, and then criticizing and then this is not possible. Yeah. And usually I hesitate to talk all these things. But today I felt a little bit comfortable. Yeah. So I'm talking about other teacher. Okay? Yeah. What is the time? It's 20 to 8 means we can teach up to 7:30. Oh, then we are. So then you can punish me. And then now we don't have. And I think we will have some questions in next session. Okay. This today I think we stop. I'm just totally speaking from the perspective of how we can practice. Okay, how we can practice. I don't want to. I have not much knowledge here, and I don't want to pour everything to you. But I wanted to say that we need to practice. As Milarewa says that, I think I quote it. Milarewa said, Milarewa, this is so short. By seeing the food is not enough. To get a satisfaction, you have to eat. Then you get you see? And in the same way, by listening, teaching is not enough, he says. Practice or meditate. Yeah. Very simple. And you think on this is so important, you see. Without practicing, we will not change. We will have no change, you see. Yeah. So my teachings are not, but I'm just telling, okay, please practice. Yeah.
dāgi gīwē sāvā dīgūñ jā sāmbō chūchē rāb dōngō wā jī pāma samchē samchē tētān tī yu dīngyā rō tamchē tāng tō tōng pā tō shā sā bā kāntā sū shū bā tētā mūnyē mō rā jī wā gu nō yāng tā lāmbā tā tēmē shū yē pā lō nō sā tā lām yu dō shē chā kē kōng pā nī rō shū wā sīndē chōng tē pēndē mā lē wā kāng lē chū wā sā bē shū jā wā ngō tēndē yu kū sē tē jī chī lē jē yu sīndē chōng tē pēndē mā lē wā kāng lē chū wā sā bē shū jā wā ngō tēndē yu kū sē tē chī lē jī sīndē chōng tē pēndē mā lē wā kāng lē chū wā sā bē shū jā wā ngō tēndē yu kuze tenjen chile je juru je kari rawe kowe shingan su penda dewa ma de yuwa che re sawa tenji chazu shabe si de padu ten juru je thank you